In his video, you will find out many hidden gems about ancient history of Bulgarians and India, also relations with Hercules and Alexander, the great conqueror of India. Let's see the first page. In the video about the letters of the god, 3, we proved that the linear B alphabet is also having letters for words, su and rada. And on the screen, you can see the use of those letters and them transformations. Also, the names Amaterasu and Bulgaria are decoded. As a result, we have proved that Bulgaria is also Ashura. About Ashura we will see on next screen. On the Wikipedia page of Ashura, we can see that they were demigods or titans of Kamatatu. They were drunk and were thrown down Mount Sumeru. They vowed never to drink sura again. Sura should be an alcoholic drink. On the Bulgarian Wikipedia page, we see the Ashurus was known to many people like Chinese, Japan, Korea, and others. Also, they had bad human feeling like passions, anger, and so on. Ashura in Hindu mythology, class of beings defined by their opposition to the Deva, or Sura's gods. The term Asura appears first in the Vedas, a collection of poems and hymns composed 15,1200 BCE. However, that is an underestimation, as this is the date when the Veda poems are written, because before that there was no such thing like writing. The word Rigveda or Rekshveda means speech Veda, and Veda means information, knowledge. Ashura refers to a human or divine leader. It is plural form, gradually predominated, and came to designate a class of beings opposed to the Vedic gods. Later, the Asuras came to be understood as demons. This pattern was reversed in Iran, where Ahura, i.e. Ashura, came to mean the supreme god, and the Daivas became demons. In Hindu mythology, the Asuras and the Devas together sought to obtain Amrita elixir of immortality. Although they had agreed to share the Amrita, strife broke out over its possession, which led to a never-ending conflict. Let's see the book Indica of Arian, translated by Watson McCrindle. It was reprinted from Indian Antiquary in year 1876. The book is owned by the Central Archaeological Library of New Delhi. Wikipedia about Indica book written by Megasthenes. We can also see that the originals are lost, but the Indians have some copies, and the book presented to you before was such book. From the Wikipedia page for Megasthenes, we can see that he was living before 290 before Christ. He was ambassador in India at city Rakosia. According to Arian in his book, Anabasis Alexandri. On page 10 from Indica book we can see that Megasthenes have seen much more than the Alexander the Great from India. He also resided at the court of Sandrakatas, the greatest king of India. From the Wikipedia page of Sandrakatas, we can see that his name was Chandragupta, and his reign was from 320 to 298 year before Christ. Let's see the Indica book from Arian mentioned before at page 11. We can see that Dionysus made an expedition to India and subjugated the Indians before the day of the Alexander. Also, Hercules was between Dionysus and Alexander. Bacchus made the city of Nysa as a monument, and named the mount near by Mount Meros. Alexander mentioned that the Indians was marching to battle with drums and cymbals, and wearing a spotted dress such as was worn by the bacchanals of Dionysos. So apparently Bacchus created India. About that we are going to see on page 15. From Indica book. From the time of Dionysus to Sandrakatas, the Indians counted 15 kings, and a period of 6,042 years. Sandrakatas was Chandragupta, as we know from the Wikipedia page about him. So, he reigned from 320 before Christ, so we can calculate that Dionysus came to India at 6,362 year before Christ. So the year now is the 2025 when this video is created. So we can calculate 8,387 years is old, the India created by Bacchus first, I.C. Dionysus. Indians likewise had built neither towns nor temples of the gods, but were so barbarous that they wore the skins of such wild animals as they could kill, and subsisted on the bark of yew trees, that these trees were called in Indian speech tala, eating the flesh raw before, at least coming of Dionysus into India. That Dionysus, however, when he came, and had conquered The people founded cities and gave laws to these cities, and introduced the use of wine among the Indians, as he had done among the Greeks, the Indians, and taught them to sow land, himself supplying seeds for the purpose. Apparently, Dionysus came to India before Triptolemus. It is also Dionysus first yoked oxen to the plow, and made many of the Indians husbandmen, instead of nomads, implements of agriculture, and that the Indians worshipped the other gods, and Dionysus himself in particular, with cymbals and drums, as he taught them. Let's see the Wikipedia page about Dionysus. We can see that the other name is Bacchus. Also the Arthracian and Greek sources about this god. Also can see that his father was Zeus, and his mother was Semele, or Persephone. Also the festivals of Dionysus included the theater dramas, and was the beginning of the theater in the Western culture. The festivals was called Bacchanalia. Romans identified Bacchus with their own liber pater, the free father of the Liberalia festival, patron of viniculture, wine, and male fertility, and guardian of the traditions, rituals, and freedoms attached to coming of age and citizenship. But the Roman state treated independent, popular festivals of Bacchus Bacchanalia as subversive, because their free mixing of classes and genders transgressed traditional social and moral constraints. In the book Anabasis Alexandri by Arian, which means Deeds of Alexander the Great, we can see that Alexander the Great visited Bactria. This text is in Greek. In the book Anabasis Alexandri by Arian, we can see that Alexander the Great visited Bactria. This text is in Latin. Let's see the book of Petar Dobrev, Saga for Ancient Bulgarians. The book is old, but this is the title in case you are going to read it. The Fabled Balkara, 1.1. The discovery of ancient Balkara, the state, which the Indians and Arabs called Balk and Balkhara, and the Greeks Bactria, was considered in ancient times to be one of the most famous kingdoms of Asia, and the ancient geographer Strabo called it in the 1st century BC, the Pearl of Ariana, i.e. the lands inhabited by the ancient Indo-Iranian peoples known under the name Arya. The earliest information about it dates back to the 13th century BC, the period between 13,011,235, when, according to legend, the riches of this kingdom attracted the attention of the Egyptian pharaoh, Ramses III. Later, according to Ctesias of Cnidus, the ancient Assyrians, whose king Ninus fought with the Bactrian king Oxyartes, also tried to conquer it. Later we read, Nikanorov's assumption that this forgotten kingdom was created in such a distant era is supported not only by a number of Latin and Greek sources, but also by the fact that it is mentioned repeatedly in the oldest Indian sources, the Vedas, and especially in the Mahabharata. I repeat the Vedas and especially in the Mahabharata, the first of which dates back to the 2nd millennium BC, and the second, according to the latest studies, arose around the 10th century BC. It is also characteristic that, unlike the Romans and Greeks, the ancient Indians from that time onwards called this kingdom not Bactria but most often Balk and Bal, a name that its capital, Bal. And the people of Balk they called Balki, Boki and Baliki, or singular Balika. Later, we can read. Also, in the Armenian geography Ashkenazites, the Bulgarians were called, in addition to the name Bulgar, also by the name Boli, which is a shortened form of the East Persian Tajik word Bulkor, Bulgarianstan. On the map compiled by Akkad Iranian based on Ashkenazites, the name of the bull people is marked in the foothills of the western Pamirs in the northern Hindu Kush, exactly where the ancient Balk and the people named Boli and Balkiki are located on Indian maps. At the same time, in some Indian sources, the ancient Balk kingdom is also called Balhara, and the same name in a slightly modified form, Balahara, is also found in the Kashmiri history, Raja Taranjini by Pandit Kalhana. It is also known that when part of the Balk people moved to northern India, a new kingdom was founded there, whose dynasty for centuries called itself Balkhara in memory of its northern ancestral homeland. The reason for the parallel appearance of the names Balk and Balkhara, as well as Bulk, Bulgar and Bulhor, is related to the fact that among the ancient Bulgarians almost every name of a clan and tribe was found in two forms, full and short. Now see the map of Tartary. You can see Tartary is a part of Russia, also mentioned in the Great Bible. For Tartary, see the other video. The map is from 1817 year and shows where is Tartary at that time, but also shows that there is country Bulgaria, and it is Bucharia, it is not Bactria, as many will point out. Also, we can see that Bucharia is also north, west of the desert Gobi. Bulgaria is between Mongols and the Chinese territories. Oslo north of Persia. Later on, page 68 we read, but behind the form Balhika adapted to the Indian spelling, there always stands the king of Balk, the capital of ancient Bulgaria, or his army also, called Balhika and Balika. Therefore, let's see what ancient information is hidden under this specific Indian linguistic shell. It is characteristic that in the epic, the king of Balk is almost always mentioned in a prominent place, and the Indian warriors pay almost the same respect to him as to their own kings. This is evident from the following scene, where the great hero Nakula bids farewell, setting off on a campaign. Farewell, I say, to the great Bharata family, and to my old grandfather the king of India, and also to Somadatta, and to the great king of Balk, in Indian Balkika. Farewell to Dronga, Kripa, and the other princes. In moments of triumph, the king of Balk is sometimes given greater praise than even the Indian kings, as is evident from the following short text. Praise, King Balkika, Dharata the first of all earthly kings. On page 69 we can see a lot the words Balika, Balk, and that they are mentioned in Mahabharata, also Vedas. Even the Upanishads are mentioned. Also there is connection to the ancient language Avesta called Akua, from where comes the name Iran. Later on page 74, we can see more mentions of the words Balk and Balika. Also a intriguing text down, we can read, according to another Indian legend, not only the inhabitants of Balhara but also the Madras, their close relatives, had a very high and noble origin. The Madras, writes Professor K. Mushra, were a Vedic people of high positions, which is evident from the fact that their state is mentioned as the center of Vedic science. Their close relatives were the tribes of the Shalva Union, one of which was called Madrakara. The king who ruled Madra during the events described in the Mahabharata is called Shalya, and bears the nickname Balhika, i.e. king of Balk. This shows that the people he led migrated to northern India from Persia or Bactria Balk, and settled in the Punjab. Let's see the Mahabharata, which was mentioned by Pitar Dobrev in his book. You can see the Mahabharata's book title and the search I did to find Balikas in the book. There are 18 lines, so let's look at some of them. In Mahabharata book we see on page 35 that Balika is on the side of the Kurus in the Kurukshetra war, which war is described in some details in the Mahabharata book. On the page 37 in Mahabharata book we see the Balika was also spelled as Valika. So we read, Balika, also spelled as Valika, was the king of Balika kingdom in the Mahabharata, the elder brother of Shantanu, who was the king of Hastinapur, and the uncle of Bhishma. He was the oldest warrior to fight in the Mahabharata war. He had a son, Somadatta, and grandson, Shravas, who along with him fought on the side of the Kaurava army in the Kurukshetra war. He was slain by Bhima on the 14th day of the war when it continued after sunset. According to Yudhishthira, Balika's only wish was that there should be peace among the Bharatas. The video continues on Ancient Bulgaria. 2. Video. Please watch the video and like and subscribe.